How many times do we have to forgive our brother or sister? Do you remember? 70 times 7. But Lord, how many times do I have to turn the other cheek? Because it hurts. How many times indeed? Honor battles. Do we have any Boy Scouts here? Former Boy Scouts? And there's one in the back. And there's another one. Taking the place apart. What's the Boy Scouts motto? The rest of it? Isn't there more? On my honor. As a scout. Soldiers pledge themselves to duty and honor and country in the battle for freedom. What's the 5th commandment say? I've given you lots of hints. What's the 5th commandment say? That's 6. The 5th one is similar because when you're teenagers, there were probably, if you were like me, I hope you weren't, there were times when I was growing up that I wished that I could do away with one or the other of my parents. But the 5th commandment says, honor your father and mother, that it may go well for you in the land I am giving you. A point of honor is a good thing. Because one of the things that living in honor does is it points us beyond ourselves, beyond our own little worlds, our own little orbits that we get so consumed in. Honor connects us to everybody else around us, creates a common and good culture. But when the wrong things become honored, honor itself becomes ugly. Consider how in ancient Japanese culture, the importance of maintaining one's honor sometimes led those who felt that they had brought dishonor, had done something shameful, sometimes even if it was just perception of shame, that they would commit harikari, seppuku, ritual suicide. The only way they understood to save face and to restore family honor. There's an even worse honoring that exists in our world, all around our world today. And it's called honor killing. You know about it. In June of 2007, a Mississauga father and son were sentenced to life in prison for the honor killing of the 16-year-old daughter, sister, Aksa Parvez, because she wanted to dress in North American clothing. And she, like so many of her friends in school, wanted to get a part-time job and work outside the home and have some money for herself. On June 30th, 2009, police from Kingston discovered the 4 bodies of family members murdered by a husband, second wife, and son of the Shafia family. These 3 family members were sentenced to life in prison. But they're still in the news headlines even today, if you've been following it. There have been 13 such quote-unquote honor killings in Canada in the last 15 years. And some people might say, well, it's only 13. And others would say that's 13 way too many. Official United Nations statistics reveal for the last year where the statistics are available, 2015, that there were at least 5,000 reported such honor killings in our world. 5,000. But in the rural communities of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iraq, no one would think of reporting such family incidents because it's a family situation. And even when honor killings are made known, there's typically little or no punishment for the killer. Pakistan itself has the highest rate of such honor killings recorded, with almost 1,110 women and young girls killed for family honor, and nearly 100 men last year for honor. Since honor killings involve the whole family, often many members of a family are involved in the murder. Those are just a few of the faces of this term called honor killing. And when the concept of something as so honorable as honor can become completely obliterated by pride and selfishness and evil, it's time to do what? To start learning how to really turn the other cheek. It's time to start learning how to listen to Jesus. When Jesus confronted the rule of law, he did it in two ways. He did two things. First, he always embraced God's law. The scripture is clear that Jesus came to perfectly fulfill God's laws in our place, because nobody, no human being ever has been or will ever be able to maintain and keep God's laws themselves. And secondly, he enhanced God's rule of law with what is beneath all of God's commandments, his law of agape, the Greek word for self-sacrificing love. In today's gospel text, Jesus quotes or cites both the law, the scriptural law, and the cultural, social laws in his day. In fact, his message to the people was to stare the law in the face. So when slapped with the ultimate in a degrading insult, a backhand across the face, Jesus doesn't completely opt out of the honor game by telling us to slink away. But he also does not advocate striking back. Not at all. Instead, Jesus says something like, look your accuser, your attacker, right in the face, and turn to them the other cheek. When slapped in the face, don't make an about face. Don't try to save your face. Go face to face. Outface your attacker with the third alternative that goes beyond the legal and the cultural concerns. It is turning the other cheek. Force your human face into the situation. Jesus is not telling us that we're losing face. He's not telling us how to save face. He's not telling us to face off in a battle with our opponent. He's not telling us to run away and retreat. He's asking us to look our neighbor in the face with the greatest weapon of all, God's forgiving, his perfect law of love. When you read about and you hear in the news the stories of such honor killings in our own country and around the world, how does it make you feel? Upset? Sometimes a little bit disgusted? Angry? How can this be? But it's so easy. My mother tried to teach me. Don't point your finger, because there's three more pointing right back at you. It's so easy for us to get on our high moral horse in outrage against something like an honor killing, when the truth is that all of us could stand accused of abusing God's honor and his system of honor. It's easy to see a wicked, warped world in the actions of a father, mother, and son murdering four family members, because they have somehow brought a perception of shame to their family standards of honor. It's more difficult for us to see our own participation in other human-designed honor roles that abuse. What do I mean? We honor those people with wealth. We honor those with a celebrity status. We honor those who have power, or that we perceive to have power. We honor promises that will bring us more, reward us, and sometimes even at the expense of others. We shame those who are poor. We shame the homeless. We shame those who have no voice. We shame those who will never shape a new way of living. We shame those people whose lives we find to be faceless, who we believe to be unimportant and incomprehensible and to be therefore worthless. We shame them when we do nothing to help bring about real changes in their lives and ours and in our world that will then recognize and celebrate the value of every human life. It's time to face the music. To look ourselves in the face, to look our culture in the face, and to demand better of us all. To demand of us what Jesus calls us to be all about. And Jesus' best way invites us into God's love, his own perfection, to take God's holy love as our standard of holiness, which Jesus used with some amount of, I think, joy and delight to turn the perception in his peoples, their perception of the holiness code, upside down. What do I mean by that? Well, he took what the people honored as honor rules and laws and turned them on their heads. The last shall be first. Tell that to the people standing in line at a movie theater or waiting to buy concert tickets. The persecuted are blessed. The poor are rich. The humble will be exalted. Those who give up all they have will gain everything. Those who are slapped on the cheek, those who lose their shirt and their coat, those who walk an extra mile when only 1 mile is needed, those who love their enemies and pray for those who persecute them, those who love their neighbor, any neighbor, those are the true sons and daughters of the living God. This is God's standard. And it's not new, but Jesus expressed it in a new way. It's the new standard for how we ought to live our lives. And there's nothing human about it at all. Jesus' code of honor here in the Sermon on the Mount is the reality of divine love in our lives and the grace and mercy and forgiveness of God that gives that definition in our daily living. Jesus' honor code is nothing less than what he says: be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. And that's why in this honor code that we are called to live by, we are to forgive how many times? 70 times 7. How many times to turn the other cheek? 70 times 7, as often as is needed, as much as possible. To go the second mile daily, to love our enemies, and to pray for those who persecute us. Has God ever done any less for our world? There has never been a more pertinent time than today for the face-to-face challenge that Jesus offers here in the Sermon on the Mount. We're called to make, and not with the app on Apple that Apple offers that MacBooks have, we're called to make FaceTime with people. One-on-one, two-on-two, getting together face-to-face to put a face of Christ into other people's lives. with humility and with gentleness and with love. Our world is in desperate need of this message from Jesus. So will we show each other that the greatest honor that we have ever been accorded, ever been given, is John 3:16? For God so loved the world that he gave his only chosen Son, his only begotten Son, Jesus. Here's a modern example of how some Christians put into practice this calling, this honor code of turning the other cheek and prayer for persecutors. Written by I lost the word. You ever done that? A reporter, thank you. Written by a reporter describing what happened, a situation in the lives of Safed. One of the most dramatic examples comes from a remote village in a South American jungle. Sarah Corson, founder of Servant in Faith and Technology, CFIT, founded in Alabama. They were on a mission to set up an agricultural project in a village where she and her husband had earlier started a church and created a fish hatchery for the people. She was there with 17 young people, including 2 of her own sons. One Thursday night around midnight, she heard 30 soldiers rushing toward the house where they were all staying. Sarah was paralyzed with shock as the soldiers stormed over the clearing leading to the mission house. She remembered with fear that earlier that day, one of the villagers had come and said they'd overheard the soldiers in the military camp blaming the Americans for the recent resistance to a military takeover in their country. And so the soldiers had vowed to exterminate all Americans in the region. So Sarah Corson prepared to die. But as the soldiers got close to the house, she found herself offering them warm words of welcome. So the commander shoved his rifle against her stomach and pushed her into the house. The soldiers began pulling everything off the shelves and out of the drawers. And Sarah calmly explained that she and the others were there only to set up projects to help the people and to teach them the Bible. The commander said he'd never read the Bible. Maybe it's a communist book, for all I know. So Sarah asked him to let her talk about it. And while he kept his gun pointed at her, and the other soldiers continued to ransack the house, Sarah opened up a Spanish Bible to the Sermon on the Mount, and she read about Jesus' command to love one's enemies and pray for their persecutors. The commander shouted, "That's humanly impossible." Sarah answered, "That's true, sir. It is humanly impossible. But with God's help, it is possible. And I will prove it to you. Cut me up into little pieces, and you cannot make me hate you. You will see that I will die praying for you because God loves you." The commander lowered his gun at that and stepped back. He ordered everyone in the house, and villagers as well, to be taken to the truck and to their encampment in the woods. But before they reached the truck, he turned around and led the women back to the house. He told Sarah that the women would be raped repeatedly in the jungle camp, so he couldn't take them there. He also said this was the first time he was disobeying a direct order from a superior officer, and that he would pay with his life if he were found out. He said as he laughed, "I could have fought any amount of guns you might have had, but there's something here I don't understand, and I can't fight it." The village waited in agony for word of the people, the men and young fellows that were taken. The local people insisted that the church service not be held on Sunday morning that week, because soldiers considered any gathering of people to be a source of political agitation. But on Saturday night, a messenger arrived with word from the commander of the attack that he was going to be in church on Sunday morning. And he wanted Sarah to come and to pick him up. If she didn't, he would march all the way to the camp, to the village, to be in church. It sounded to Sarah like a threat, so she sent message throughout the town that night and said, "We will have the service after all, but you are not obligated to come. In fact, you may lose your life by coming. Do not come when the church bell rings unless you are sure God wants you to come, because no one knows what this soldier is going to do. Sarah drove to the compound and picked up the commander and his bodyguard at the military camp. And holding their rifles, they marched coldly into the church and sat down. The church was packed before the first hymn was over. The people came in fear and trembling, but they came. And it was this church's custom to welcome visitors by inviting them up to the platform and singing a welcoming song, waving to them, and then the people in the congregation would come up one by one and welcome them with a handshake and a hug and personal words. Sarah decided only to offer the commander and his bodyguard the welcoming song. Stunned to be invited up to the front, the two soldiers stood with their guns slung over their backs. Sarah decided that as she sang, she would try to get the congregation to sing, and they sang weakly. And then they waved in a bit of fear and trembling, but they waved. And then the first man on the front row came forward and stuck out his hand to shake the hands of the soldiers. And then as he bent over to hug the two of them, the man said, and Sarah overheard this, "Brother, we don't like what you've done to our village. But this is the house of God, and God loves you. So you are welcome here." And every person in the church followed his example, even the women whose eyes were red from weeping, with worry over their loved ones, whom the commander had taken prisoner. The commander was incredulous. He marched to the pulpit and said, "Never have I dreamed that I could raid a town, come back, and be welcomed by the town as a brother." And pointing to Sarah, he said, "That sister told me Thursday night that Christians love their enemies. And I didn't believe her then, but you've proven it to me this morning. I never believed there was a God before. But what I have felt just now is so strong that I will never doubt the existence of God ever again." And the commander and his bodyguard stayed for lunch with the congregation and offered his own money from his own pockets to the parishioners who had loved ones taken away. 2 weeks later, all the men who had been taken were released from the basement cell where they had been imprisoned, and some of them had been tortured. Sarah Corson was overcome with gratitude to God for putting divine love in her heart for somebody she could not possibly humanly love on her own. And she remembers the last words the commander said to her. "I have fought many battles and killed many people. It was nothing to me. It was just my job to exterminate them. But I never knew them personally. This is the first time I have ever known my enemy face to face. And I believe that if we knew each other, our guns would not be necessary." Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can. Martin Luther King Jr. So, how many times will God ask you and me this week to turn the other cheek?